If you're trying to conceive and feeling overwhelmed with fertility advice, then this podcast is for you. Welcome to Don't Tell Me to Relax, your fertility podcast and antidote to unhelpful fertility information. I'm Hannah, a fertility acupuncturist, teacher and campaigner for better fertility education. This podcast aims to empower and inform you about your menstrual cycle and fertility. It's basically all that information you didn't get in sex ed at school, with the aim of improving your understanding of your reproductive health and optimizing your fertility. Hello everybody and welcome to this week's episode of Don't Tell Me to Relax. I am very excited today because finally I have got one of the nicest people on the planet, one of my favourite humans, to come in and talk to us about Christmas, because I think this is going to be going out on the 15th of December. And we know that Christmas and the festive season, when you're trying to conceive, can be a bit of a shitty time and it can be difficult to navigate. So we have our lovely nutritionist Kirsty here is going to just talk about things to think about. So not in a punitive kind of beat you with a stick kind of way, because Kirsty's not like that.
No.
She's going to do it in a really helpful, positive way, and that we hope will be helpful and kind of ease any feelings of guilt that you might have. So before we do and get into all of that, Kirsty, would you like to introduce yourself to the podcast?
Hello, thank you very much for having me. I'm Kirsty Harrison and I'm a nutritional therapist who has done further training in the fertility field.
And how long have you been doing fertility nutrition, Kirsty? It's quite a long time now, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. I'd say I did my mentoring and additional training maybe 2 years ago now. But I did work in fertility before that. And continued afterwards with plenty more training.
So Kirsty obviously is obviously my friend first and foremost, but she also is the nutritionist in our team and obviously works for herself, has her own clients down in Cornwall. And before we kind of get into all the nutrition side of things, really we just want to say that, you know, Christmas can be hard because it is a time where you have to see lots of family, often children around. You might not see people for the year and they often can ask those stupid, awful questions around what's happening with your family, when are you going to have children, all those questions. They seem to really come out the most at Christmas. And I think that pressure to have a good time is horrific. I mean, I am the number one Christmas Grinch. I'm not a big fan of Christmas at the best of times, but I think it is doubly hard when you've had any kind of like grief or loss, or you're going through a difficult time to go through Christmas, because everything out there is all about having fun, having families, being together, and it really amplifies any loss in your life. How are you around Christmas, Kirsty? Do you like it or loathe it?
I love Christmas. I've always loved Christmas. I am a big Christmas fan, but I do understand how difficult it is for some people, and I am quite protective of who I see over the Christmas period to make sure that it stays fun and stays enjoyable.
Yeah, my partner, well, you know my partner, obviously, Ben, he said to me the other day, which I thought was really true, he was like, Hannah, you have to remember that Christmas isn't a holiday. And I was like, oh, yeah, because, you know, you kind of think, oh, it's Christmas, it's the holidays, it's time to relax. But often what can happen is you come back in January feeling like you've got a week-long hangover because of, I don't know what it is. I feel like it's when I go up north, the heating is always on and that makes me feel more ill. So anyway, we know it can be a difficult time. So we thought we'd do some top tips to kind of help you navigate Christmas, because obviously Christmas is associated with, well, it can be for some people, lots of alcohol, lots of food, and lots of problems that come with that. So Kirsty, like, what do you think are the main problems for people at Christmas?
The people, initially, you have to see, but putting them aside, I think we are just bombarded with being like made to drink, made to party, wanting to go out, people feeding you. I don't know what your family's like, but mine are feeders, which obviously I love. But if you're trying to avoid things for any reason, that can be quite uncomfortable conversation. I think that is the main problem, really. It's that constant feeling of having to perform and go and visit people you don't want to see and all that kind of jazz, isn't it, really? It's not like
Yeah,
just, it's very difficult at Christmas, I think, to just say, actually, no, I'm not going to come and see you, because it's, everyone just assumes that everyone's going to get together and have a good time. And
yeah,
not really be in that frame of mind whilst you're going through your fertility struggles.
yeah,
So yeah, I think that's one of the hardest things. So yeah, primarily the people that you have.
yeah. And sort of from a nutritional point of view, because I think what when obviously we work with lots of the same people, and what people often say to me who are working with you is they say, I really like Kirsty because she's not like, it's very down to earth, and it's very achievable, and it's very what's the word that I'm looking for? It's not like too hardcore. It's not too like all consuming. And so when you talk to people about Christmas, what do you say? Because none of us can be 100% all the time when it comes to nutrition, can we?
No, absolutely not. And I think that's completely unachievable to be absolutely 100% on it all of the time. I think the main thing with Christmas is to not focus too much on all the, I don't know, for want of a better word, bad stuff, and think about all the foods that you can have that are delicious and are nourishing and are supportive. Like, it's not all bad. I think it's just the way you have to be slightly mindful of the fact that there's going to be loads of booze around, or there's going to be loads of sugar around, but you don't have to avoid it completely. You don't have to restrict yourself from enjoying the things that you want to enjoy. I think how you eat them and being mindful of how much you have is important. So it's more about how you approach it, I think, rather than,
Yeah.
so don't go at it with a, I can't have anything, this is all bad for me. Just think about all the wonderful good things that you can have over the Christmas period that are actually really good for you.
Yeah. Because I think it's always, I think what we see is that people are always understandably looking for things they can control and things that they can do. And I totally get that. But when it comes to, like, if you, for example, decided you were going to have a glass of champagne or wine
Mm.
with your Christmas dinner, there is often can be this real association of guilt that comes with that. Like, the reason I might not have got pregnant this month, or the reason that something has happened, is because I drank a little bit here or there. And I think and I understand why people do that, because what we want reasons, don't we? We want explanations, but it's not that simple, is it?
No, definitely not. And also, I think what you have to, the way that I work with my clients, or our clients, if you like, is that you need to follow the 80-20 rule. So what you're doing over the course of the year for the 80% of the time, if you're doing your absolute best, that 20% of the time when you're having a glass of wine or you're eating the quality street or whatever you're doing, is not really going to matter in the scheme of things. Like, you need to look at the big picture. Christmas is just a 2-week period, and whatever you do during that period is not going to affect the 80% of the time or the rest of the year, when you're doing as much as you can nutritionally and lifestyle wise to make good changes.
Yeah. And that is a really good thing, isn't it? I love the 80-20, because it gives you like a really clear framework with which
Oh,
to look at what you're doing on a day-to-day basis. Because if you can not, good and bad is always like, oh, what does that actually mean? Like, it's hard, isn't it? But basically, I think it's all right to say, if you can be good and have put in really good stuff 80% of the time, and 20% of the time, it's not like it's bad stuff, but stuff that's not so good, let's say, then
yeah,
that is a good approach.
yeah, I think so. And also, it is a really bad, this whole good and bad thing is such a weird food, it's such a weird situation anyway. Like, nothing's
Yeah.
inherently bad. It's about how much of it you have that makes it bad. Like, a few Quality Street is not bad for you. I mean, 3 tubs of Quality Street over 3 days might not be great for you, but
Yeah.
it really is all about making, being quite realistic and practical about what you're doing. And if for the last 3 months you have been eating really well, and have it, even the last month, the last few weeks, you've been eating really well and getting in all your protein and eating all your vegetables and doing all the right things, then what you eat over Christmas, personally don't feel is going to make a huge amount of difference.
And do you think there's anything that should be absolutely avoided?
No, I don't particularly. I think
Mm.
everything in moderation, unless you are following a specific diet anyway, like you are gluten free for a reason, or you are dairy free for a reason, or whatever lifestyle you're following, then yeah, obviously keep that up. But I don't think there's anything that you could look at over Christmas and say, I'm not doing, I can't have that.
Yeah. So and what about alcohol then? Because lots of people ask us about alcohol and, drinking at Christmas, drinking at New Year, drinking at the bloody Christmas party. Don't know why I said that. Don't know. I haven't even got a Christmas party to go to. Just
just,
me.
just getting up
Me.
about things that aren't even happening.
Me and Eric. And a
Just you.
Christmas hat.
I again, I think it's about moderation. If someone was going through fertility treatment, and I think you and I talked a bit about this the other day, then I would say no, don't have any alcohol. But the clinics are all shut. No one's having fertility treatment over the Christmas period, as far as I'm aware. So I think you can take your foot off the pedal a little bit. And again, it's like it's all about moderation. Like, don't go crazy and drink everything, but having the odd glass of wine here and there, or the odd glass of champagne here or there, I don't think is the end of the world.
Yeah. And I totally agree. And I think, but it's also, isn't it? It's about having that drink or whatever it is, the quality streets, the pudding, the cheese board, whatever is your thing, having it and thoroughly bloody enjoying it.
Yeah, if you're going to
You
do
know,
it, make sure you enjoy it.
yeah, don't do it and then feel guilty about it because
Yeah,
that's then counterproductive. It's like
yeah,
do it, savor it, enjoy it, and
yeah.
then move on from it.
I also think that it's that when you're looking at people as we do from an acupuncture or from a nutrition perspective, you're looking at people from a holistic. You're looking at their whole being. And so much of that is not just nutrition and acupuncture or whatever. It's also about having fun and relaxing and laughing and looking after your nervous system and your mental health. And if having the odd glass of wine and having a really good time at Christmas helps with that, then that's really important.
Yeah. Yeah. And just to be able to be in that space where it's not on your mind, although I know it will be on your mind because I know that it always is,
Yeah.
but kind of giving your brain a break from that kind of what you should or shouldn't be doing can
Yeah.
be
Yeah.
really good, exactly like you said, Kirsty, for every single aspect of your life.
Yeah, it's really important. Like, you've got to look at you could have the best nutrition in the whole world and do everything 100% correctly, but if you're really miserable about it and it's making you really unhappy, that
Yeah.
is going to help you in any way. Like, it really needs to be about balance and looking at you from a holistic point of view.
Yeah. So what would have you got any kind of like no-brainers, like, we're not avoiding anything. We're saying yes to the pigs in blankets.
Yeah.
But what can we like add in, or what would you say continue to do or make priority for?
Yeah. So I think, again, blood sugar levels, managing those throughout the day is really important. And that is going to be harder due to the huge amount of chocolate and sweets and whatever is around all the time. So making sure that you start your day with a really good protein rich breakfast is really important. And then making sure, well, basically focus on your meals and make sure your three meals are really well nutritionally balanced, and do the best that you can there. And then if you're going to have sweets and chocolate in between meals, try and have some nuts with it as well. There's usually a fair amount of nuts around, and they're obviously good fats and very good for us as well. So try and make sure that are mindful about what you're eating and when you're eating it. But outside of that, making sure that you're sleeping properly and making sure you're getting plenty of rest is really important, because then you're able to be much more mindful and you're not craving sugar and everything's a bit more manageable. And making, what were my other points? I was going to say, making sure you drink plenty of water, like
Mm.
just to carry on with all the basics, and then all the
Yeah.
other stuff doesn't matter as much.
Yeah.
Also, I think it's like Christmas dinner in itself and the food around Christmas isn't bad for you. Like, red cabbage is really good for you. It's full of antioxidants. It's vegetable sprouts, really good for you. Turkey, really good lean protein source. Like cauliflower, really good for a estrogen detox, or any kind of detox. So, like, inherently, the food isn't bad. It's just what we do outside of it, I think, that causes
Mm.
it to be a bit
That's
disruptive.
That's a really good point, and I think the point about breakfast is really important. That was really making me laugh because I was really remembering, like, when I was younger, maybe in my 20s, and, you just start Christmas Day with, like, Quality Street and a glass of champagne, and you then
So
chocolate orange, chocolate orange, oh, your chocolate coins.
yeah, you can get away with it a bit more though, can't you, back then? Annoyingly.
Yeah, but I think, like, eggs and smoked salmon, really, really popular on Christmas Day, really good way to start the day.
Yeah, definitely. And also, if you know you are going to drink later for like New Year's Eve or the office party and whatever, making sure that you've eaten really well beforehand will
Yeah,
really limit, will really be beneficial then for the next day, and making sure that you don't drink too much, or you're much more, if you're well nourished and rested, you're much more able to stay on top of these kind of things. It's all
yeah.
about staying focused and strong.
And what about if you are gonna go and have a drink, what would is it I know it always is protein, but would you say a good protein meal before you go out is gonna stand you in good stead?
Yeah, good protein. Good protein's good for everything. Protein with
Yeah,
it. But yeah, but just make, well, even, well, a good well balanced dinner with something to mop up the alcohol as well. So some carbs and some protein, and
yeah,
yeah, and some fats as well. Just, and also making sure that you do eat lots of green leafy vegetables really support your liver detox pathways as well, so that you're not sort of slowing down your liver with all the alcohol, because there's a lot more toxins to cope with over Christmas. So make
yeah.
sure you look after your liver with plenty of water, and lots of leafy green veg will also be really helpful.
And water in between drinks when you're out, if possible?
I mean, it's a nice idea, isn't it? I mean, yes, you definitely should. But
Yeah,
I mean, I don't know. I mean, do people really? I don't. I mean, it's a brilliant idea that I highly recommend. It's not one of
yeah.
myself, but it's. I do really. It would. Yeah, of course, it'd be beneficial. And you don't want to wake up dehydrated and start off on the wrong foot as well. So yeah.
Yeah. I was having my hair done last night and the hairdresser was saying that she does one alcoholic gin, one non-alcoholic gin.
Oh,
So she alternates them.
yeah, that's a
And I
really
thought that's pretty clever because, you still feel like you're having a drink. It looks the same,
good
probably tastes quite similar, but you're actually not. And I thought, oh, yeah,
idea.
I'll bear that in mind.
There are also so many good, like really good non-alcoholic versions of spirits around now, that that is very much more achievable, I think. And I think that's a really nice idea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about like non-alcoholic beers and stuff? Are they good or are they just full of loads of nasties?
I would rather just not have them, but if it's the only way that if it makes you feel like you're still taking part, and
Yeah.
you're not being deprived, and then that works for you, then yes. But generally, I tend to advise my clients to avoid them. But you know it's again, it's about moderation, isn't it? And if it's
Yeah.
not going to hurt over Christmas to have the non-alcoholic versions.
And what about supplements? Is there anything that you should take specifically for like your liver over Christmas, or is that like too easy? Like, is that it's not how it works, really, is it?
Just look after your liver all year round, and
Yeah,
the liver will look after you over Christmas, I think, is probably the best. I would,
yeah,
obviously, I mean, yeah, I think a focus on food for your liver detox.
yeah,
Hard to give supplements specifically advice anyway, over, without
yeah.
a proper consultation. But yeah, I would look after it with food and water.
So I guess the thing that you can do is if you are taking supplements is like and you're going traveling somewhere is to remember to take them with you
Yeah,
and actually take them because often when I'm out my routine I forget and if I'm going away for a week that can be a whole week without taking them which I think adds to the why of feeling horrific by the time January comes around.
yeah. I think all those things, like you were saying earlier, about all the things that you can control, like
Yeah,
taking supplements and getting
yeah,
your 3 meals a day, and looking after your blood sugar levels. I think, yeah, if you can control all of those things, I think that's a really good idea.
yeah. And what about exercise? What do you think
Well,
about that?
I think that's very important over Christmas, because we do
Yeah,
tend to. I don't know what you used to do when you were kids, but or when you were used to have to go and see family and things. And my gran is that we'd spend a lot of time sat indoors,
yeah,
which doesn't do us any good. So yeah, making sure you're getting outside in the daylight fairly soon after you wake up in the morning is really important for your circadian rhythm and your hormone health. And
Yeah.
yeah, and get out in nature as much as you can. At least, hopefully, you're hopefully not working as much, and you can use that time to really make the most of getting outdoors. Don't go crazy with the high intensity stuff, but lots of long walks and stretching and yoga and restorative things will be really good, I think, over the Christmas period.
Yeah, I think getting outside every day, I think
Really,
I did that last year. I made an effort of doing that, and it really did make a difference because it is easy to just stay in by the fire or, by the radiator for the
yeah,
whole of Christmas, especially because it's so dark and miserable outside at the moment that
I
why
know.
would you ever go anywhere else? But I don't think it helps.
No, it really doesn't. No, we need fresh air. We need to be out in nature. It's really important for us. So yeah, I think that's a good thing. Make a pact with yourself that you're going to get out at least once a day, even if it's just half an hour around the block. It's
Yeah.
just at least you're getting some fresh air.
And the other thing that I was going to say as well was about this idea of, saying no to things.
Yeah,
Having like a plan before you go if you're going somewhere, and being really clear about how long you're going to stay for, rather than feel like you should stay for 5 days if you only want to stay for a day.
yeah,
If you want to take your own gluten-free bread with you or your oat milk or whatever, like having a bit of a plan before you get in that situation, I think can really help.
yeah, definitely. I think so. I think that's really important. I think boundaries and that kind of stuff is almost more important than the nutrition at this time of year because people really do manage to push your buttons, and you are so far sometimes having to see people like we were saying earlier, you see people you don't necessarily that are going to ask those awkward questions, and being the
Yeah.
plan before you go into all of that is really important.
Yeah. And also saying if you don't want to go, just saying no.
Yeah, we're rubbish at that, aren't we?
Yeah.
We definitely need to say no, don't go.
Yeah.
Just look after yourself.
Yeah.
Put
I
yourself
always I always say in clinic, put yourself at the top of your list.
Yeah, absolutely. That's good advice.
So have you got any kind of like top tips? I know we've covered most things, but kind of what are your top tips or top takeaways for getting through Christmas?
So make sure you're getting enough sleep. That's really important. Everything goes to shit if you haven't had enough sleep. You can't make good decisions. You can't eat your will to eat well goes out the window. You're more likely to snack on sugar and crap if you want to. So sleep is really important. Getting out in fresh air, really, really important. Yeah, making sure you have a protein-rich breakfast to start your day. So start your hormones and your blood sugar levels off on the right track from the start, and then and then do your best throughout the day in the situation that you can. Eat your veg. There's loads of veg around at Christmas, loads and loads and loads. It's really easy to eat plenty of vegetables over Christmas, so I think you can keep. That's a good one to keep up. If you're going to drink, just really enjoy it and don't go crazy. Um,
Mm.
what else have I got on? Yeah, don't skip meals. Like, don't do
Mm.
that thing that people do that I know that I used to do when I was younger, is that I'd end up knowing I was having a really big dinner later, I'd probably not have lunch. Don't do
Mm.
that. That's really bad for you. Don't do that. It's really bad for us. So make sure, even if you have something smaller, make sure that you keep to your meals, your 3 meals a day. And
Yeah.
don't skip meals. I don't think that's very good for our blood sugar levels.
And water? Were you going to say water?
Yeah,
Did you
loads of
say
water.
water?
I don't know. If I didn't say water, water. We have talked about it. But yeah, making sure you at least try and do your 1.5 to 2 litres a day to help. It's just everything. Water and sleep are your
Yeah.
two main things.
And where are you at? What do you think about, it's funny, isn't it? Like, we're so funny as people. Like, we do this thing at Christmas where, like the supermarkets are all, and everything we look is all about indulge, treat yourself,
Yeah.
it's like all out. And then literally it gets to New Year and it's like, everything is green and detox and, it's so extreme, isn't it? The messages that we're told, and they're so, um, unfair, I think. So where do you stand on kind of like the new year, new you shite?
New me. Exactly that. I think it's shite, really. I mean,
Yeah.
there are some people that really benefit from the new year, new me type start. But actually, I think particularly for those on their fertility journey, if you like, they've been doing so much over the course of the year, or in the run up to the new year anyway. They certainly don't need to then be going crazy and restrictive in January. I think easing
Mm,
back in to a gentle, easing back into some really good changes and slowly reducing the sugar and slowly reducing the booze is enough. I don't think our
mm,
body doesn't need to be shocked into too many different things. And I think it feels very restrictive, and so therefore
mhm,
it's unhappy. Like there's something about that whole restriction thing that I don't doesn't really sit very well. So I think, yeah, I don't necessarily think that you need to suddenly start going hardcore, only having green food from the.
mm.
I don't think that's very beneficial. And
Yeah,
again,
because
lead into that 80-20 thing very well, because you just the gradual, just gradually build back into your good habits.
mm, because it's just another pressure, isn't it? Like it's another pressure in an already pressured situation, I think. And bloody hell, January is depressing and dark and
Yeah.
miserable.
Yeah, it's dark. Everyone's skint and it's great. It's a good to have a new. Like I get that a lot of people love from the whole. This is a fresh start. I'm going to start again. But I
Yeah,
think moving into the year from a very restricted point of view tends to then set us up for failure, because then when we don't fall off the wagon, if you like, we then get
mm,
fed up and pissed off and feel like we failed. And I don't think anyone needs to feel like that. I don't think that's a very helpful way of living your life. So just gradually get your good habits back and gradually start exercising more and weaning off of the quality street all the time. And I think that's enough.
yeah.
Yeah.
You're taking down the dose of the green triangles on a day by
Take
day basis.
yourself off them. Soon there'll only be bounties left anyway. No one wants those.
Yeah.
Yes.
We've already done a box of roses in our house, and with strawberry creams just lurking in the bottom.
They're my favourite. Save them
Well,
for me.
you can have them when you come off on the weekend.
Oh, the orange creams are my favourite, really. We're talking about. I'll have those.
If you are going into the new year, then and you do want support, then this is where, working with someone like yourself really does come into its own. Having, just done some work myself on my own personal nutrition, I was actually quite amazed at having thought I knew what I was doing. It was really insightful to get personalized advice to me and my situation.
Yeah,
So I would say that, it's not about kind of going on any crazy diet or any kind of restriction. If you're looking to make changes, getting some personal advice based on your specific situation, I would say is invaluable. And that's a good place to put your energy.
yeah, definitely. I think if you are going to make nutritional changes, particularly when it comes to fertility, it is really important to do it with someone who knows what they're talking about, because
Yeah.
there is so much information. I mean, all I've got on my Instagram and my every time I look on the internet is ways to get you through Christmas, ways to, what nutrition is already, you can see it's already starting. You can see that everything's, and soon it will be the new year, new me start. And
Yeah.
I think, but it's so generic and there's so much information out there that it's
Yeah.
good to get that information that's very specific and tailored towards you and what you're going through. And it's
Yeah.
so different for everyone. Like
Yeah.
it needs to be really bespoke.
Yes, absolutely. And I had that conversation with someone only this week in clinic. I was saying, she was asking me how many times should she come for acupuncture? And I said, well, it really depends on what how much money you have basically and where you want to spend it. Because in my world, although I am obviously an acupuncturist, if your funds are limited and you're trying to conceive and you haven't addressed your nutrition and your supplements correctly, then that would be where I would spend my money. Because if somebody is not doing that as to their best ability and getting all that support and getting all that nutrition and all that right supplements in, then coming to acupuncture is not going to be as helpful as if you're doing both.
No,
Because if you're doing both, then it really is a powerful combination. But you cannot acupuncture your way out of poor lifestyle habits, basically. And so nutrition first is kind of my go-to.
you're
And I'm
good.
not just saying that because you're my friend. I'm saying that because it is true.
You mean it.
I
Also,
mean it.
I think it is really important. Obviously, the two work together very well. But if you've got any underlying digestive issues or
Yeah.
any underlying autoimmune, like there's so many things that can be supported with nutrition really,
Yeah.
really effectively. But you do need to speak to somebody, and there are loads of other nutritionists. I'm not like tooting my own horn, but you do need to work with somebody who has really have additional training in this area, because there's so much information out there.
Yeah.
Mm.
Okay, my lover, you know what? I've just realised we should have worn Christmas hats for this
Oh,
episode.
we should have, but we're gonna have to do it again.
Oh, bloody hell. Oh, well, never mind.
Never mind. I've actually got a Christmas headband as well.
Oh, I've just got my Christmas hats out the attic. Anyway, never
Christmas.
mind. But thank you, Kirsty, for your time today. I really, really appreciate it.
Thank you very much for having me. It's been really fun.
And good. I am glad. And I will obviously put all your details on the show notes. And also just to say, we did a webinar last year about Christmas and looking after yourself going through Christmas. It was myself, Kirsty and Carly, our fertility coach, and that is available to watch back. So if you do want some more support, then there is that webinar, which is in our community group. So just sign up through the Facebook link and have a look at that, because that might be helpful. So wishing you all a good Christmas. Look after yourselves first and foremost. And I hope it is restful. And we are going to take a break during Christmas and for probably a couple of weeks in January. We'll probably be back end of January, beginning of February. So I look forward to catching up with you then. And thanks again, Kirsty.
Thank you very much. Have a lovely Christmas.
If you've enjoyed listening to this and want to find out more, then come and join my free community in Facebook. We have loads of resources. You can catch up on all our previous webinars and be the first to know about forthcoming events. To sign up, just follow the link in the show notes. And if you'd like to work one-to-one with myself or one of the team, then please see our website, hannahpern.com, where you can book in directly or organise a discovery call to find out how we can support your fertility and your reproductive health.